thinking. I was like, man, Jabril Cox is going to the Rams, and then they did not take him, and I just, what are they doing? Like, he
would have been perfect for them. He would have been perfect. I don't understand why you go for a guy that is basically just a run stopper, and not even that good at that. He's, there's so many better linebackers on the board that Browning, Ernest Jones, Ernest Jones, that's who we're talking about.
Ernest Brown.
Cameron Brown, that's the one I was thinking of. Anybody other than Ernest Jones really would have been a much better pick there.
Yeah. I think that Ernest Jones, I think I agree with you, is probably their worst pick. It's a seventh round pick can't be their worst pick, right? Because at that point, it's just like, well, that's a name I can pronounce, or that's someone I've heard of, or something like that, But Ernest Jones is their worst pick easily. I think their best pick is Tutu Atwell. I think he's going to be a big time player in the NFL, and I actually think that he fits in really well with Woods and Kupp. I love the pick. I know you disagree.
If they don't have faith in Josh Reynolds, then maybe, or if they're preparing for Kupp to depart as a free agent and Reynolds to take his spot. I don't hate that pick. I just think for what you're trying to do, which is win now, that's not the direction I would have gone.
Also,
I think Atwell could be very good, but you've already got one of the best receiving corps in the league. They have a pretty good defense. You've got Aaron Donald, but he needs help. I think their top needs were edge and linebacking, as we said. They addressed edge somewhat with Ernest Brown. But again, that's your fourth or fifth pick. They got they still have Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Their cornerbacks are pretty solid. They did. I liked Robert Rochelle, or however you say his last name, from Arkansas. He could be decent. Then they used another pick on yet another wideout. I just don't get it. They picked a random running back, Jake Funk. A little perplexed by that. I don't know. I think they have a really good running back core as well. I really like Cam Akers. I think he's very good.
Darrell Henderson. I love Darrell Henderson. I think he's a future star. Again, a young running back.
I think he's got to beat Akers for the starting job, man. Akers can do it all.
I don't think he's going to be a star with the Rams. I think he's going to have to leave. I think Cam Akers is so good, but Darrell Henderson could also be very good. He's got to go to another team. Maybe a team like the Dolphins, he could really shine there. I don't know. But the starting wide receivers for the Rams are Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Deshaun Jackson.
I don't know if Jackson's necessarily a starter. That might be what the depth chart says, but I'd be shocked if Josh Reynolds isn't on there on the field for more snaps. And then again, they went running back, or they went wide receiver again in the draft. They drafted 3 wide receivers. You have so many other things you could address. I don't like this draft. I think it was pretty poor. a motorcycle goes by my house at a loud volume.
I agree with you that I'm not a big fan of the draft, but also, like, they have two problems that they needed to address. They didn't address them very well, but also they're not problems that are keeping them from being a very good team. I feel like the big issue was Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford comes in, fixes that problem, in my opinion. So I think Ernest Jones, worst pick. Tutu Atwell, best pick. This is another, in my opinion, B-. They did what they set out to do, just not as well as they set out to do it.
I disagree. I don't think either they had a plan that makes no sense to me, or they had no plan and the result shows. I just don't think they really, again, I don't think they made their team better in the draft.
Also,
I really don't. So I give them a D.
I have a hard time believing that Tutu Atwell pick wasn't something that Matthew Stafford was on board with. There's no way you bring in a leader like Matthew Stafford and don't consult him on a wide receiver being drafted.
Sure, and again, the Atwell pick is not what sinks this for me.
It's Ernest.
I don't agree with it necessarily, but this draft could have been easily, an A- with him in it. The rest of these picks are just, relatively boneheaded. I like Bobby Brown.
Yeah, he's a knockout guy.
And I like... Sorry?
He's a knockout guy.
And I don't really like much else for their team. Stafford is obviously going to elevate them, but the rest of this team, I don't think is gonna be much improved. So we'll see if Stafford's enough to get them to the promised land.
All right, and then Dan Beebe, real quick before we go to break, what is your grade for the Rams?
I'll go with O'Shea. I think they didn't address more of their core issues, so right around that D range.
All right.
Wide draft 3 wide receivers. Seems nuts.
All right. So there you have it. We got a B- and 2 Ds. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just about a minute and a half. You're listening to Dan D'Antoni Sports. All right, and we are back. Thank you for hanging in with us. We are ready for the second half of our show, where we are going to recap real quick the 49ers. We all went roughly B-, C+. Rams, I went B-, you guys both went D. We're now going to move on to the San Francisco 49ers. And oh boy, is there a lot to talk about here. All right. First round, third overall pick. The selection was Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State. Second round, pick 48. The guard, Aaron Banks from Notre Dame. Round 3, 88th overall, running back Trey Sermon, Ohio State. Round 3, 102 overall, cornerback Ambry Thomas from Michigan. Which, how dare they draft Ohio State and then Michigan back-to-back? I don't think they can do that. Round 5. Exactly. Round 5, pick 155 overall, offensive lineman Jalen Moore, Western Michigan. Round 5, 172 overall, DB Diamador Lenore from Oregon. So they're hitting our teams because round 5, pick 180 overall, they drafted safety Talanoa Hufanga from USC. Round 6, pick 194 overall, running back Elijah Mitchell from Louisiana Lafayette. A lot to unpack here because I'm just going to be honest, I don't think they did anything bad. I mean, even going to Elijah Mitchell, the running back, first of all, Trey Lance, that was the guy that they said they wanted. They were wavering back and forth supposedly between Mac Jones and Trey Lance. They got the guy they wanted. Aaron Banks, monster. Definitely going to help Trey Lance. Trey Sermon, like they drafted 2 Treys in this draft. So one of them's got to be good, the other's got to be great. And I think Trey Sermon from Ohio State is going to be the breakout player from their draft. I think he is so good. And I know I said this about, what's his name? J.K. Dobbins, also from Ohio State. But I really like Trey Sermon. I think he's going to be a monster for them. Ambry Thomas was a good pick. Brings you solid play at the 102nd overall pick. Jalen Moore, another monster offensive lineman. I mean, they hit, in my opinion, on everything. There's nothing here that I don't like. Especially getting value like Elijah Mitchell. Do they need him? No. But they need running backs. And now they got 2 of them. One that I think is going to be great, and one that I think is going to provide some much-needed relief, especially for a rookie running back who is going to be adjusting from an Ohio State-type system to what's probably going to be run-heavy, not so much option-heavy 49ers team.
Zone runs, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I really don't. Worst pick, I'd probably have to say Talanoa Hufanga. I don't know that he's going to get starting time, really. But like
he sucks.
Yeah. But I can't find a pick on here I don't like. But I love the Trey Sermon pick.
Yeah. This draft grade really comes down to is Trey Lance the guy they think he is? Because obviously they traded up. They gave up a decent amount of capital to move up.
I think they were thinking they were going to get Zach Wilson, honestly.
It's possible. But I don't know, because I feel like, once we hired Saleh, they might have been like, hey, give us a hint. And, he might have. How often are you going to see the Niners? So, I think they were really all in on Trey Lance, especially once you're at 3. If, Wilson gets taken, and that's who they wanted, and, they weren't set, then they might have fallen back to the safety of Fields being, the 1B to Lawrence's 1A.
I'm never gonna fault a team for recognizing a guy they want and